Hello students, this is Professor Shahid from Maharashtra College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Welcome to the next session of Android programming. In this session, we discuss a very interesting topic, that is your constraint layout and linear layout. In Android, the layouts are the very important part because they are used to design your Android application. Layout tells the SDK or Gradle to arrange the component on the main activity main.xml file. In Android, the linear layout and the constraint layout, these are the two types of layout that are used to arrange the components on the mobile devices. The topics to be covered in this session are: what is constraint layout, what is linear layout, practical demonstration of constraint layout. In this we will see how the constraint layout arranges the component on the mobile device. In the same way, practical demonstration of linear layout. Next, what is constraint layout? Constraint layout is a layout on Android that gives you adaptable and flexible way to create a view for your applications. In constraint layout, we can arrange the component according to our specification. In this, we have to specify only the 4 constraints that we will see in the code. Constraint layout, which is now the default layout in Android. By default, when you will create an activity in Android, the default layout for the activity is your constraint layout. All the Android Studio version, the by default layout for the Android Studio is your constraint layout. You can constrain them to their container, to each other or to guidelines. Now, what are the advantages of using constraint layout? Constraint layout provides you ability to completely design your UI with the drag and drop feature. In this, we only drag and drop the components, and we have to attach 4 constraints of the component. If we do not want any constraint, we can delete the constraint from the constraint layout. It helps to improve the UI performance over the layouts. The one of the better or the one of the good layout is your constraint layout. It arranges the component according to the user. If you want to arrange the control or components on the Android device anywhere, then you have to use a constraint layout. With the help of constraint layout, we can control the group of wedges through a single line of code. With the help of constraint layout, we can easily add animations to the UI component which we use in our application. Disadvantages of constraint layout: when we use the constraint layout in our application, the XML code generated becomes a bit difficult to understand. The design file, that is your main activity.xml, that is your that contains the design code for your Android application. The code in the activity main.xml becomes very complex when we are using a constraint layout. In most of the cases, the result obtained will not be same. Suppose we change the device, suppose we are using a Pixel as a mobile virtual device. If we change the Pixel from the Nexus, there may be some changes in the Android application. The same result will not be generated on the different virtual devices. Sometimes we have to create a separate layout file. This is one of the biggest problem in constraint layout. If you want to display a landscape mode, suppose you want to display an Android application in a landscape mode, then we have to create a separate file for constraint layout. Now, linear layout, the simplest one of the simplest layout is your linear layout. In this layout, this layout arranges the components or controls align all children in a single direction, either vertical or horizontal. There are two probability in linear layout. All the children are arranged either vertically or horizontally. You can specify the layout direction. In linear layout, we have an attribute called as orientation, Android orientation. By default, the orientation is your vertical. If you want to change the layout orientation of the linear layout, then you can use orientation attribute. This is a basic diagrammatic representation of layout. Horizontal, like this, it will arrange the component like this. When you set the orientation as vertical, the linear layout arranges the component like this. Linear layout attributes. ID is the common attribute for all the layout, which is used to define the ID of the layout. Divider. This is a drawable to use a vertical divider between the buttons. If you want to divide the screen into a smaller parts, then you can use this divider so that there will be a section created on the screen. Android orientation, which is either horizontal or vertical. By default, it is horizontal. The practical demonstration of constraint layout and linear layout. See, constraint layout. This is a code that is in this code we are using a constraint layout, which is a by default layout of the Android Studio. This is your code for main activity.xml. This is my XML code. In Android, the .xml file is used for designing. In this, we are using the constraint layout. Therefore, the starting tag of this file is your constraint layout, and at the end we are closing the constraint layout. Within this, we are arranging the components. Right? In this, we are specifying the button in the constraint layout. There are 4 constraints in the constraint layout: top, bottom, left, right. We have to specify 4 constraints. Either we are using a top or bottom or left or right. On the basis of that constraint layout will display the control on the screen. We are using here 2 buttons. In this, we are using a 2 button. We are specifying the constraint horizontal 0.5, constraint horizontal by 0.5 in both the buttons. The width wrap contain, height wrap contain, margin bottom 8 dp, margin top 8 dp. The text of the text on the button is text. These are the attributes that are used in constraint layout, so that we can arrange the component according to our requirements. So this is the demonstration of constraint layout. Now moving to the linear layout. Linear layout is the simplest layout. Linear layout, we are setting, instead of constraint layout, we are using a linear layout at the beginning, and at the end we are closing the linear layout. In the linear layout, we are using a 3 buttons. Here we have a 3 buttons. The orientation, by default, the orientation of the button is your in the PPT, as you see in the PPT, right? Already I told you, is the default layout for the is horizontal. Therefore, all the buttons will be displayed in horizontal direction. Suppose I want to change. Now I want all the buttons vertically. Therefore, here I am changing the orientation as vertical. So this is the practical demonstration of linear layout, one of the simplest layout available in the Android. One of the simplest layout available in the Android is your linear layout. I hope you understood this session. Thank you so much.